What's up, everybody? My name is Soccer. In today's video, I'm going to be redrafting the 2020 NBA draft way too early. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it. Check out my socials in the description as well, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I thought this was going to be really fun at first, and then the more I got into it, the more I realized how difficult this really is. But it's nice, and I think it's a good idea to just really take stock of this draft class, one that's very interesting. It's got a lot of really good players in it, but especially in that like 5 to 10 range, 6 to 10 range, it's really difficult to figure out where these players rank given the small sample size, but it's still fun. It's a good exercise to just really understand, really solidify your opinion on where each of these players rank in this class. I'm going to start with number 10 and then go all the way up to number 1. And I'm going to begin with James Wiseman. I couldn't put him outside of the top 10 based strictly off of potential, but based off of his like tangible production to this point in the NBA, I don't think he can go any higher than that. Like, he just hasn't shown really anything. And what he did show last year was a good amount of potential, but as soon as he got hurt and didn't play towards the end of the year, Golden State found their stride. They started playing better. They started playing Warriors basketball again, and they've played really well to begin this season without James Wiseman on the floor. Now, that's not to say that Wiseman is broken. It's not to say that he's not going to be a good NBA player. It's just right now they're very good, and he might not get a ton of run with this team for a little while, but that might not be the worst thing for him either. He's still incredibly young, had a very weird college experience, and I think still has all the potential in the world to end up as a top 3, top 4 player in this draft class. But as of right now, I think he has to be number 10. I can't put him outside of the top 10. There's guys in this class that have shown some flashes, but I can't put them ahead of him just strictly based off of what he could be. Next up now at number 9, you're going to understand how weird and how difficult it is to rank these guys. I went with Isaac Okoro. This is a guy that's shooting under 20% from 3 to begin this season, but I do think that there's a role for Isaac Okoro if he can ever figure out the jump shot stuff, and that's just kind of the part of the list that we're at right here. He can defend. He's got good size. He's a good athlete. There have been plenty of guys in the league that when they first got there, they couldn't figure out a way to shoot the ball well and space the floor well, and they figured it out. And Isaac Okoro has a lot of other things to offer if he can figure out how to space the floor. I think he's in a good spot there in Cleveland, an up-and-coming team, a team that is going to have to play him because they don't really have any other good wings they can throw out there. Hopefully the shot making, improves for him, but I have him at number 9. Next up, number 8, a guy that can absolutely shoot the ball, shooting 40% to begin his career so far in the NBA, is Desmond Bane. He's a really integral part of what Memphis does. He's just a good basketball player. Like, he moves well without the ball. He's very square. He's very solid when he plays. He's not someone that's fumbling all over the place and losing the ball and, doing crazy athletic things. He's just a really, really good player. He's going to be a good 2 guard in this league for a long time, and someone that if you're just looking at solid role player type stuff within the top 10, which is the part of the list, part of the redraft that we're on, I don't really think you can do much better at this point than Desmond Bane. I really considered having him higher, but everybody above him, with the exception of one guy, is just a better like perimeter playmaker creator guy. And that in general just provides a bit more value to me than the spacing that Desmond Bane provides. But there are plenty of teams, like I'm sure Cleveland, part of them is looking at this and thinking, man, it would be nice if we had Desmond Bane rather than Isaac Okoro. And there might be a couple of other teams as well in the top 10 thinking it would be nice to have this guy. This is a huge jump for him based off where he was drafted initially. So good job by him. Next up now, number 7, I went with Tyrese Maxey. There's still some inconsistency with him, as you would expect from a guy that is still so young into his career. He's being thrust into this new role without Ben Simmons, where he's being asked to do a lot more in terms of perimeter creation. But it's all there for Tyrese Maxey. It's a very potential-based spot on the list, but there's also some tangible production. Like, I think that he's someone that eventually could have like an Eric Bledsoe type career. Not that they're necessarily the same kind of players, but someone that can really guard, someone that's a really good athlete, still needs to work on their ability to space the floor, but if they ever figure that part of their game out, is going to be impossible to keep away from the rim. He's going to have an opportunity to develop here in Philadelphia. He's shockingly critical to them, with Simmons out and everything. I think that him being at number 7 is a really good spot for him, and someone that, down the road could definitely be higher up on this list. Next up now, number 6, I put Cole Anthony. I know we talked about him before the season started. I understand he's having a nice year. Some of those numbers are starting to drop off. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think Cole Anthony is going to be an all-star or anything like that. He had a really nice start to the year for an Orlando team that needs shot creation, needs guys to make shots, and he did a good job of making shots for that team. But I'm not going to put him above other guys in this list that I quite frankly like better, that I think their production is more sustainable. But to begin this year, he's absolutely justified a top 6 selection in this redraft here for Orlando. Next up now, number 5, I went with Tyrese Haliburton for Sacramento, who hasn't had a fantastic start to his second season in the NBA, which is definitely a concern. But he was in the running for Rookie of the Year last year. Someone that it's kind of like Desmond Bane, but with more upside, where it's like this guy's he's just going to be in the league for a really long time. He's going to be able to guard. He makes winning plays. He's really improved over the course of not his NBA career, but his basketball career in general, as a playmaker, as a creator, as a shooter. And that's really going to be the biggest thing for him, right? Is he provides so much value from an intangible and from a defense standpoint. And as long as he's not a hindrance from a spacing standpoint, as long as he can shoot off the ball and then sprinkle a little bit of playmaking, he's going to be a really, really good player and someone that teams are just going to want to have around. Like, you're going to want to have winning players like Tyrese Haliburton on your team. And that's why he is number 5 here. Number 4, I went with Saddiq Bey. That might be higher than a lot of other people have him on their list, but the combination of the size, the shooting ability, and what I like about Saddiq Bey is it's not just off-ball stuff. Like, when I turn on a Pistons game and I watch him play, it's not just, hey, Saddiq, go stand in the corner. Like, there's some stuff where guys are closing out and he can take a one dribble into a pull-up, or he's, kind of curling in off a down screen towards the mid-range. You can hit a shot. Like, guys, I feel a lot better about shooters that can shoot from more than just 3. Not that I really want them taking a lot of mid-range jumpers, but when they can be consistent from any spot on the floor, it makes me feel better about the sustainability of their production as a shooter. And that's how I feel about Saddiq Bey. He's going to be able to guard because he has good size, and he's going to be able to shoot the ball. And, guys like that not only make a lot of money in the NBA, but they are very, very highly valued. And there's a little bit of potential here for him to do a little bit more as a shot creator. He's certainly going to get that opportunity in Detroit because they really, really struggle to score. But overall, Saddiq Bey is going to have a really good career, and so I put him into the top 4 here in this redraft. Number 3 is a guy that unfortunately is hurt right now, but again, I just can't put him outside of 3, and it's Patrick Williams. And I know that when we get to the end of the year and you go to Basketball Reference and you sort this draft class by points scored, Patrick Williams is not going to be very high on that list. But part of these kinds of lists are, if I'm redrafting this class right now, who am I taking? I'm not going lower than 3 on Patrick Williams. I think he has Defensive Player of the Year caliber potential. I think they have really clearly invested in trying to make him a better shot creator and a better shooter. We saw that in Summer League, and the injury is unfortunate, and his presence from the Chicago team missing is certainly gonna be felt by them. But I just think that the long-term outlook for him is so bright. That kind of fluidity, size, athleticism is something that is so rare. And when you combine that with what I think are actually decent on-ball creator skills, the sky's the limit for this guy. He's still so raw offensively, but you can see the room for growth, and I can't put him lower than 3. Number 2, this is really the conversation, right, for the entire class, is where do you put LaMelo? Where do you put Anthony Edwards? I went with Anthony Edwards second. There's really no correct answer here. There's no wrong answer here. Both these guys are awesome, and they're going to be awesome for the entirety of their careers. And I will be honest, I thought LaMelo should have gone first in the draft at the time. And for a good part of Anthony Edwards' rookie season, I was not sold. I did not think that this was going to be a guy that was going to be incredibly productive and efficient for the entirety of his career. But he has very clearly improved this season, and he has worked on... I want to say he's worked on his shot selection, but I think it's more so he's just a better shot maker. He still takes some crazy shots sometimes, but they're going in at a higher rate. He's getting to the rim better. He's getting to the free throw line. There's some playmaking stuff, and he's just a crazy good athlete, and it's clear a lot of times that it should be him, it should be Karl Anthony Towns, and everybody else should get out of the way. And I know that's part of the reason why they drafted him where they did. I want to see him continue to develop, on the defensive end and make sure that he's not just going towards an all offense kind of thing. And my concern long-term is that his play style becomes less conducive to actually winning basketball games, and he just becomes like a ball-dominant scorer. He scores 25 points a game, but his team wins 30 games a year. That's a little bit of a concern for me in the long term, and one of the reasons why LaMelo goes 1 over him. But you can't go wrong with Anthony Edwards here, number 2. He has, especially statistically, had an awesome start to his career. And then number 1, LaMelo, we can talk about all the things LaMelo does correctly, right? He is a decent floor spacer. He can get to the rim anytime he wants. He has great size. He works in pretty much any lineup. He's super fun to watch. Here's the thing, though, that I think really separates him, and the reason why I put him number 1 over Anthony Edwards is I just feel like he's easier to play with. I feel like you can put a handful of different guys on the floor, and in some situations, Anthony Edwards is not going to work with that group, but in almost every situation, LaMelo will work with that group, and he lifts people up around him. He's not always going to make the correct decision. He had a very, very weird path to get to the NBA, and he has some bad habits that have built up over the years. But if I'm picking between those two guys, I want to pick the guy that I feel like in the long term fits better, lifts other people up, and is just more fun to play with and a better guy to play with. I can see Anthony Edwards having a very successful career on some pretty good teams, but I can also see a scenario where he's just a stat guy, puts up crazy stats, while LaMelo is actually leading teams to wins. Now, there's not really anything to show for that being the case to this point because the sample size is still so small, but that's just the feeling that I have. And when it's this close between these top two guys, I kind of just have to go with my gut, and my gut says I want to draft LaMelo number 1 in this redraft. But that is the end of the 2020 redraft. You can see, I'm sure people are going to have massive opinions about this, and that's totally fine. It gets really difficult. I mean, like you could make the case against Patrick Williams 3 because of the injury and the lack of overall production. You could make the case James Wiseman shouldn't be top 10. You can make the case James Wiseman should be top 5 because the guys outside of 5 or 6 are not overwhelmingly impressive. You can make the case Isaac Okoro shouldn't even be sniffing the top 10. But this is my list. Let me know what your guys' list is down in the comment section below. But that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen for more videos just like this. And you can check out the link in the description as well for my socials if you guys want to hang out with me outside of these videos. With all those things said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.